Hi, everyone. Welcome to What's Your Skincare Routine with Leora Luciano. I'm your host, Leora Luciano. And I have to confess, I had a completely different episode planned for today, and life just had other plans for me. So I want to catch you up on everything that's happened. I injured my back a little bit, but I had some really cool events that I went to. But I also want to share, with that in mind, how I'm resetting for Q1 or the first few months of the year. If you've ever had a setback, whether it's physical, emotional, or you just feel off track, you're not alone. Today, I'm sharing exactly how I got through it and how you can reset, no matter where you are right now. So, before everything went sideways, I had a really fun start off to the year. I was on a fashion segment. I got to model on the news for a segment about après ski, and I wore a cute monochromatic look. I went to some launches for some of my favorite and probably your favorite beauty brands. There was one for Weleda. If you're not familiar with Weleda, they are OG in the beauty and wellness space. I went to a wellness event for the brand Whoop. And Whoop, I've talked about them a bunch before, but I want to show you. I'm actually wearing it, you can see right here. I know you can see that. I wore it a little bit loose. I'm trying to hide it under my shirt. I don't know if that's really working. What I love about Whoop is it tracks all of the metrics that you want to have access to. So when I work out, I'm able to get really good metrics based on maybe my zone of training, based on my resting heart rate. All of this is monitored within the Whoop device. And then it also helps to measure your sleep. I've really been able to pay attention and dial in to my sleep. Whether you're head to pillow or you toss and turn and you can't fall asleep, Whoop knows. This device knows exactly when you fall asleep. In the morning, it will process my sleep and it will not only give you the time you fell asleep, which I always am tripped out by, but also your wake time. If you had any interruptions in your sleep in the middle of the night, but also your REM cycles. So there are all of these things from a data perspective that I think are so valuable. And I got a bunch more insights that I want to talk about on another episode. And I was also invited to an epic launch event hosted by Glow Recipe, where they launched a new flush product. So it's not about blush, but it's more about flush now. So think of all of the trends that we've seen. I talked about blush blindness in 2024. I still think blush is going to be a very important beauty product, and not just for the cheeks, but also as a lip product. So those blurred, blushy lip tones. I also went to an event for Hard Candy, and Hard Candy is going to be celebrating their 30th anniversary this year. So it was really exciting to see those new launches that they have coming out, and of course, some of their tried and true favorites. I love getting to play with their color products. There's so much that they have that is innovative. I think one of my favorites, I'm actually wearing it, of course, mixed with other product, but I'm wearing the lip blur product. So the lip blur product gives that just blotted lipstick look, and it's a soft focus lip color. So it's just a little bit of a softer look, even in a bolder color. The color that I'm wearing is called Honeymoon, and it's almost like a deeper wine burgundy color. But because it has that soft look, it's not as intense. And what I like about this type of product is it's a little bit more mistake proof. So you don't have to worry so much about lining when you're doing a deeper color or a red color. You know, sometimes the precision of the liner really makes all the difference in the world. But with a lip blur, you have a little bit more forgiveness there, which is something that I love about this. And also, it's a great way to play with those K-beauty looks, those sort of really blended out lip colors that are richer in the center of the lips and just sort of fade out. So if you wanted to play with some trends, that is definitely an option. I had my goals laid out, and so when my back really got messed up, and there wasn't one thing, I just woke up one morning and my back was, nope, that was it. That was the agenda. Whatever I had planned, canceled. It was so challenging just to sit up, let alone think about anything. The last time we talked, I was talking about making that bingo card for your life for the new year. This was not on my bingo card, nor was it on my vision board, nor was it part of my Q1 plans. So I had my goals laid out, my SMART goals. We talked about those time bound milestones. And everything was on track. I mean, given it was only really the first 2.5 weeks of the new year. So I was just at the start of things, but off to a good start, I would say. And then that morning when I woke up, I just realized my body had a completely different plan for me. When my back started hurting, it wasn't just pain, it was all encompassing. I even called my mom and she asked, "Where does it hurt?" And I told her I couldn't even say because it felt like there was a target on my back and it was just radiating pain outward. So I feel like my brain was sort of in disbelief on the first day because I had so much to do and physically I just was not going to be able to do it. And when I think about it, in retrospect, I'm thankful that it worked out this way, but the lowest point was really that first day because I thought I would be fine. But physically, I just couldn't move without pain, even small things. I was thinking in my head, oh, yeah, okay, we've just got to do 3 things. And then negotiating with myself, okay, let me just do one thing. And then the other things can kind of wait. And when I thought about the actual logistics, putting on shoes, even changing into pants, it was just not possible. When you think about these things that kind of come out of left field and really just throw everything off track, it's really wild how your brain kind of works or maybe doesn't. I felt a blend of anxiety, frustration, and guilt. Here I was just talking about setting myself up for success in the new year and how we can make these goals come to fruition. And we focus on realistic goals. I think that's a big part of it. I love the whole idea, especially in 2024 when we were thinking about being Delulu, and I love that. But when it comes to setting fixed goals within that SMART methodology of SMART, really setting those goals, especially the time bound part, that for me, it's like, oh my gosh, it's January 20th and I'm already way off track. How did we get here? Okay, I've got to move things around. But then I reminded myself that my goals are still there. I just need a new way to reach them. And the first thing I needed to do was to feel better. So, how I handled this was my journey. This is not meant to be medical advice of any kind. Please consult your doctor. What I did was initially really just try to mitigate that pain. And there were 4 things that I'm so glad I had on hand because they really helped. And one is the most basic thing. You probably already own it, but it is a heating pad. And this was my best friend for the first few days. I'm not going to tell you how to use a heating pad, but you want to take breaks from it. But, you're really going to be spending a lot of time with your heating pad. You don't want to become one with your heating pad, although it does feel like that might happen. The one that I got, I will link it below because it's an extra long one. And I was able to rotate my body, trying to cover as much area as possible. So I felt like a rotisserie chicken. And this just helped me to, get a lot more coverage. The other thing that I really liked, these self-adhesive patches that brought heat to the area. These patches came in clutch a little bit later. And that's because I felt after the inflammation went down and I had a better idea of where the pain was, I was able to isolate a little bit more one area as opposed to, oh, my back hurts, the whole thing. So for that, I was able to keep it on, and instead of actual physical heat, it just keeps that area feeling warm. So it was very helpful to have something topical on for several hours straight until the powers kind of wear off. It really helped with that muscle tension. Now, this one is definitely the priciest of all the options. However, I was so glad I had it on hand. It's the Hyperice Massage and Heat Belt, and it's literally nice and thick. So it's not a back brace in terms of support. I'm not talking about that. We're just talking about things that immediately help. And it was just so nice because you put it on and it's like, first of all, I kind of feel like I won SummerSlam because it's about as thick as a nice WWE belt. Instead of anything to do with wrestling on the front, it is where you control heat and or massage. So the massage is more of a vibration. There are 3 modes for it, and there are also 3 heat settings, and you can do either or both together. And it's on a self timer, but to be perfectly honest, I would just keep it on and keep it going. It's something that I used when I was sitting down. Sitting is still a little bit of a challenge because I really feel my back start to tense up. So, just being mindful about that and taking breaks and stretching more and posture, all of those things are really important too. But the other thing and the last thing that I want to talk about, this is something that I think allowed me to get out of the house for the first day, and it is the TENS unit. And if you've been to a chiropractor or experienced physical therapy before, you're probably familiar with this device. TENS stands for transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. It's a small device that delivers low voltage electrical pulses through electrode pads placed on the skin. It's commonly used for pain relief and muscle relaxation by stimulating nerves and blocking pain signals from reaching the brain. So, how the TENS unit works is that you have the electrodes placed on the skin, pads are applied to the area where pain relief is needed. Electric pulses are sent through the nerves. These pulses interfere with pain signals and increase endorphin production. That's the body's natural painkiller. And pain is reduced or blocked. It's said that users often feel a tingling or massaging sensation, but not pain. What a TENS unit usually helps with is chronic pain, muscle soreness and tension, post-workout recovery, nerve pain. And I'm giving you this information based on the product page from which I bought it, so this is not intended as medical advice. Please consult your doctor. This worked and works for me, but a few things to note about the TENS for me. I want to mention that you should always start it on a low setting and increase very gradually, because if you go too quickly, whether it's a dial or a push button, you want to start low and slow and then build. There's places that you want to use the pads and there's places that you want to avoid. So look up directions to be clear. And a few things, if you have a pacemaker or heart issues or are pregnant, this is not for you. Again, there could be exceptions, but please check with your doctor. People swear by TENS therapy for natural pain relief. It's a great option if you deal with frequent pain or muscle tension, but always check with your doctor before using one. I'm going to share the links to all of these products in the show notes and also in the description of the video on YouTube if you're watching. A few other things that I wanted to share were related to diet. I focused on an anti-inflammatory diet and opted for healing foods. And these are really basic things, but the first thing is hydration. The first few days, I was in so much pain that I did not want to get up out of bed to do anything, but I knew that when I did get up, I was going to focus on making sure I got hydration. So anytime I did get up, I made sure that water was involved. I filled and refilled my bottle of water so that I always had water close by and it was easy to sip. I had one of those very big cups with the handle and the bendy straw so that even if I couldn't get up all the way, it was really accessible. The other thing I did was lean into herbs like turmeric and ginger, which are really good natural pain relievers. So I just had tea when I could. And last but not least, one of my favorite fruits, pineapple. I kept that on hand. I got some fresh cut. I got some pineapple juice as well. It contains bromelain, which helps to reduce inflammation. But of course, make sure you check with your doctor before trying anything out. Now, these were just some of the things that worked for me and I wanted to share with you. However, the biggest thing beyond the physical pain was adjusting my mindset and also my energy levels. So I had to really just sort of create a sliding scale of tasks based on my energy levels and pain levels. For example, those low energy days, like where you're from, 0, 1, right out of 5, and where you can just barely think straight. Those low energy days were really about hydration and rest, and that's it. There's no shame in staying in bed or, even if that's like standing up or whatever it is, but staying in your pajamas all day, that's fine if that's the best that you can do. And then on the medium energy days, so I would say on a scale of 2 to maybe 3, I was able to incorporate very gentle movement, very small stretches, things to keep the circulation going when I could get up. So for my medium energy days, the focus, of course, is hydration and rest, and also incorporating gentle movement into the day. That was key because I'd been, just resting, and you don't want to get cramps or tense in other places when you're already dealing with an injury. And then for higher energy days where you're probably, that would be great if you were at a 4 or a 5, but maybe you're still between a 3 and a 4, just depending. You can do light mobility work, maybe a little bit more than stretching for circulation, but actually stretching, not very deep, but just a little bit of movement to see at least what I did. That's what I was trying to sort out. And then also, this is the mindset shift. For me, it was adjusting my goals and my Q1 plans. When I started to think about shifting my mindset, I came to a few conclusions. One of the things that really hit home for me was resting isn't a setback. It's part of the progress. And in thinking about that and using that, instead of pushing through and, trying to get to the end of some race, I met myself where I was. And now I want to share how I'm moving forward. After initial moments of self-defeat, I felt like I was already falling behind. And I know because I usually set up goals for myself that are over the course of a few months, in quarters or seasons. So it doesn't turn into a situation where I'm cramming for a final in the last minute. I know myself, I would not do well under those circumstances. So it was really about shifting and rethinking about my timeline. So if something comes up for you and you feel your goals are way thrown off course, right? Depending on where you are, you feel like all can be lost and you're like, ugh, why did I even bother? What a waste of time. I think to myself, because I was talking to you before this happened about all the things that I was doing with goal setting and planning for the new year and the first few months of the year and thinking about my winter arc and all of that. And okay, well, I guess it's just not going to happen. I've worked really hard to stop that thinking. While it makes for a more dramatic story, it's not really helpful. So my focus has been reworking my goals instead of abandoning them. So often in life, your timeline might shift, but reaching your goals is still possible. And it's not about catching up, it's about recalibrating to get to your goals. So what I'm doing is focusing on the small wins and trying to build momentum. And the thing about small wins is a win, right? So every time you just check off on one of those wins, it is going to help with that momentum. So for me, I felt blindsided. This injury, this pain came out of left field and I didn't see it coming. But it really doesn't matter because whether you're recovering from burnout or you have pain that you're dealing with or just feeling off track, just remember you're not failing, you're adapting. And I want you to know if you're going through something like that or something similar, know that you're not alone and your goals are still possible, even if your approach has to change. And I'd love to hear if you've ever had a setback that forced you to reset, or if you'd like, you can share some words of encouragement for anybody who's going through that. Please feel free to drop a comment. I would love to hear from you and continue this conversation. This experience for me going to be a continued discussion and journey, and I'm going to incorporate it into my winter arc. I'm not sure yet. I'm actually still working on this. This was the first day that I was able to kind of sit without pain For a little bit of time, I am using some of those tools that I talked about, and I'm going to link in the show notes and also below so you can check them out for yourself should you need them. But thank you so much for joining me. If you found this helpful, please leave a review on Spotify, YouTube, like, subscribe, all of the good things. Thank you so much. And until next time, stay glowing.